show.
I'm not telling.
Very, very fine house.
That would be Laura Dwyer Schleck.
It is a
singing.
lifestyle show. That comes as real news to me.
So here we are.
We are here.
And
Is
I
the
am on the
first-
backside of 3 weeks of a cold.
Trust me, we're all anxious for him to get over it. There's a difference from when he has a cold and when I have a cold.
It's so wrong. And actually, I've been able to function, but I'll tell you what, I haven't had a cold in 5 or 6 years, I think, and this one is apparently going around. I even had a flu shot.
That's probably why it's worse.
Why?
Because you had a flu shot. I had a flu shot and mine wasn't very bad. I mean, I didn't have a flu shot and mine wasn't bad.
Yeah. Anyway.
Why would you inject
So-
yourself purposely with germs?
All right. So
You're
what's new,
supposed
man?
to.
What's new? Anything?
No.
Good?
No.
Laura?
Went to the Symphony Ball on Saturday.
Oh.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
Who'd you go with?
I don't know, tall, good-looking guy. That was a lot of fun. They do a nice job.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Linda Ray did arrange for the music, and the music was amazing. Country Club did the food. It was amazing. It was good.
Susan Riley did a great job. She was
Yeah.
she was the
Chair.
chair of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she did a great job. It was actually, it's always a wonderful party. It was really well done this year. And particularly Brian Funston, the manager at the country club. I'm going to tell him dinner was spectacular this year. All right. So I actually had something come across my desk through the Institute of through the Real Property Law section. 2 things that I thought you might want to talk a little bit about today. One is
Just
personal-
2. We don't rarely have time.
get through a
never
half.
have. We have.
Yeah, I know,
2.
we don't get through a half.
So do you want me to pick? Give me the 2 options.
Well, they're both property tax issues, okay? And the first one, a blurb came through the Real Property Law section, of which I'm a member, that said that the state treasury department is now finally plodding through enforcement, and the local authorities are plodding through the false claims of personal residence exemption, the PRE, the
Oh,
ability
yeah. We
to.
had that happen in our block,
What do you mean?
where someone claimed it as their primary residence or their principal residence, and it wasn't.
I don't know what you mean by our block.
Well,
What
the
do you
block
mean?
where we own almost all the property.
You talking about one of our renters was claiming
No,
his
no, no,
personal
no, no,
rental?
no, no. One of the houses that we didn't own.
Okay, so how do you know this?
Because I complained about it to the city that it was getting a 100% homestead and nobody was living there for years. And then when a tree fell down, one of our trees on our property fell down, it exposed a huge hole in the roof, and there is no way that anyone could have been living in that house.
Okay, let's make it clear. Our tree didn't fall on the house.
No,
It's
no,
just
no, no.
the tree falling
It fell-
down exposed the fact that there was a hole in the roof.
Yeah, 2 holes actually.
Well, actually, there were raccoons living there, probably claiming the personal
First one,
residence
yeah, and
exemption.
so what the city did, they finally did investigation, and they went back and from what I understand, they charged them 0 homestead, and they can only go back 3 years.
Right, I think it's 3 years they can go back to undo the falsely claimed personal residence exemption. I
Correct.
believe that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, they're nice people that own the property, but,
But they didn't live there.
right. Fraud is fraud, right? No matter how you look at it.
But apparently they're gonna get away with it.
Well,
No, I don't
they're getting
know.
away with some of it, but they're
not-
still gonna have to pay 18 mils for 3 years that they weren't planning on paying before. And the city came down on them and they had to register their property in the non-owner occupied property registration. They did an inspection and $60,000 worth of renovations to the house need to be done. Roughly, that's what the inspector
In
told
order
me.
to make it habitable.
And that's what the inspector told me. Now, could you do it for less? Probably, but anyhow.
Yeah, but the point is that you can't just claim a personal residence exemption because you happen to have lived there at one time, or you own it and,
How,
what?
how long do you have to be there?
A day, as long as your intention, the statute says if it's a place where you intend to reside, you can even absent yourself from the house for a temporary period, for a period of time, as long as you have the intention to return to that.
So if I go
Well-
into, I mean, one of the issues that came up when the non-owner occupied property registration came in effect in the city were individuals who went into a nursing home the individual's intention was that they would come home. Now, the family's intention might have been a little bit different, but the individual's intention was that they would come home. And why would I have to register my property if I were that individual?
Well, that's a different issue in terms of, registration, and there's a great argument to be made, by the way, that a vacant property is not a non-owner occupied property. In other words, the word occupied, in the word means that it's an occupied property. So it's not occupied by an owner, but it's occupied by somebody. But that's a different battle to fight with the city. And forgive me with this cold. But with respect to the personal residence exemption and the nursing, person who goes into a nursing home, the statute specifically says, excuse me, that if you go into a nursing home or other assisted living, et cetera, with the intention of returning to that residence, you can continue to claim the personal residence exemption as long as that property is not occupied, and as long as it's not occupied or used for a commercial or business purpose.
So I can't rent it.
Can't rent it.
And I can't let my daughter, granddaughter
That's
live
correct.
there.
Nobody can occupy the
Nobody
property.
could just be there taking care of it, making sure it falls apart. I'm not charging them rent.
You mean making sure it doesn't fall apart?
Doesn't, right.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah,
it might fall apart if they have parties.
No, if it's occupied, you cannot claim it. If occupied by someone other than the person who went into the nursing home, who's the owner, and you have to be the owner. Renters can't claim a personal residence exemption. So as the owner, I go into a nursing home, if my intention is to return, I go in there for rehab, I go in for whatever it may be, and I intend on returning to the residence, I can continue to claim the PRE, the personal residence exemption, as long as that property is not occupied nor used for a business or commercial purpose. Okay? If I'm in that nursing home permanently, I can no longer, and I have no intention of returning, I can't claim it as
Does a
PRE.
nursing home have anything to do with this?
What do you mean?
No, I think
Or
I just
could you go
picked that.
anywhere?
If
Could
I
you go to Timbuktu
well, no, if I go
for
to
10 months?
No, well, if I go to Timbuktu and I'm on a sabbatical, I'm on a mission, I'm whatever it may be, I don't really
Vacation.
care.
Maybe you go on a 10-month vacation.
As long as my intention is to return to this as my principal residence, I can do that. Now,
Okay.
understand that a lot of people, they might have a place in Florida or someplace else. Michigan law says you can't have a personal residence exemption in another state. You can only have one. And that, if it's in Michigan, that's fine. And if you go to Florida for 6 months or 7 months over the winter, and you come back to this as your principal residence, that's okay too. But you have to have the indicia of ownership. In other words, the utility bills, you're maintaining the property, et cetera, and you actually are physically residing in that property as your personal residence. If you're simply using it as a vacation home, if your principal residence is Florida, you come up to Michigan for 3 months in the summertime, I gotta tell you that you're gonna lose the PRE for your Michigan property because your intention is to reside in Florida. And the other things they look at are where are you filing your personal
Tax
income
return?
tax. If you're filing in Florida, good luck trying to claim a PRE in Michigan. Those are the things that where's your driver's license?
Where's your
Where's
mail?
your car license? Where's your principal mail go? All that sort of stuff.
Of course, now my driver's license, no, it has our home address, but all our mail comes to the office.
Yeah, but your driver's license has to have your residence address.
Right,
Okay?
right. And voter's registration.
Yeah, and there's still this ability to claim two personal residence exemptions if you are selling your existing residence. Let's suppose that you move from your residence into another residence in Michigan. You now claim your PRE for the new residence. You can continue to claim the PRE for the residence that you are now out of as long as it is vacant, it's not occupied, or it is leased, okay? You can.
As long as it's not leased. It can't be leased, it has to be for
Right.
sale. It doesn't have to be for sale with a realtor.
Right, it has to be for
'Cause we
sale,
just- I just
that's right,
asked you
can't be
this
leased,
question.
yeah, right, okay.
Right, and it has to have been your primary residence for the last 2 out of 3 years, right, or something?
No, let's see, I have it here. Some parties who own 2 or 3 residences in the state will have to decide that a married couple may claim exemptions on 2 houses if they reside separately and they file separate tax returns. Let me see if I can find this stuff. Principal residence exemption also can be claimed by the property owner for up to 3 years. That's what you,
Oh, up to
up
3
to 3 years on property previously exempt as long as it's not occupied, is for sale, is not leased or available for lease, you're not trying to lease it, and is not used for any business or commercial purpose, then you can file what's called a conditional rescission with the Michigan Department of Treasury on or before May 1 with the local assessor, and you can continue to claim as long as all those conditions.
So is that
are-
only if I buy another house in Michigan? What if I buy a house in Florida and I have my primary residence here that I'm trying to sell? That was put in place when the market was really bad and
Yeah,
people couldn't
don't-
sell their homes.
I don't think that
when
you're-
was that law put in place? Or that
Um,
exemption?
I don't know the answer to that.
But I'm sure it was in the downturn of the market. I know it was in the downturn of
Right,
the
it was in the
market.
downturn of the market, probably around 2010 or so.
And now it's not as difficult. But
But the law still exists.
But does it?
What if you live 6 months here, 6 months in Florida?
That's not a problem.
Well, you just have to pick.
Again, I pick, if I live here 6 months, I live in Florida 6 months, and, you know, I have my driver's license here in Michigan, I vote in Michigan, I have all the indicia of residents or residing in Michigan, that's fine. I can claim a PRE on my residence in Michigan, but I can't claim one in Florida, and I can't have Florida as my principal residence.
And you keep saying Michigan law says we can do this. That's not a federal law?
No, it's state law.
So are there any states that allow you to have two primary residents in them?
You can't do it in Florida?
This law doesn't exist in Florida. I have no idea what exemptions and what the tax laws are in Florida with respect to property taxes. All I'm saying to you is, as far as claiming the Michigan PRE, this is for
Principal residence exemption,
which is worth 18 mills to you. It's a school tax. You 18 mills off your real property taxes. You can claim it in Michigan as long as you have your residence here in Michigan, or if you're selling the previous residence, you meet the conditions.
But you don't know if we lived in Florida and had another house in Arizona, whether or not we could have two principal residents. Think about what a...
No, I can't imagine that. Remember, the PRE is strictly Michigan. I have no idea what exists in Florida. I doubt they have a PRE in Florida. I doubt they have a PRE in Arizona. I have no clue. Okay? So the question you're asking really doesn't...
Because there's so many part-time people?
No, simply because it's a state law, and Michigan got particularly hard hit by the recession, so our legislature decided we would go ahead and give this
But
particular
that
tax
PRE,
rate.
that principal residence, been in existence long before this last downfall.
Yeah, the PRE started in 1995 as
When
part of Prop A, didn't it?
Yeah, Proposal A.
I think so. Okay, I think that's when the PRE
I think
started.
that's when it was all revised.
Yeah, so. Yeah, right. Well, Prop A was with respect to capping of taxes. This either occurred simultaneously with that or shortly thereafter. And I don't think I have with me anything that indicates the year in which it was adopted. No, I don't. But the
What
point...
was your other issue?
Well, let me just start with this.
Okay, list them.
No, the point is that there are plenty of people who have been claiming the PRE and they haven't been caught.
Okay.
And my point is that the Department of Treasury and local assessors are now finally getting around to taking enforcement action against people for falsely claiming the PRE.
How are they doing that?
How are they getting away
You
with
simply
it?
file a form. Right now you file your form before May 1.
No, I mean, how are they going to find these people?
Simply, they send them a questionnaire. The questionnaire asks people to verify under oath exactly all of the answers to these questions. You know, how do you reside in the property? How many months do you reside in the property? Are you
Well,
voting here? That sort of thing.
So, but
And you have to
If
provide
you've been
evidence.
cheating, are you inclined to answer that?
Yeah, but you still have to provide.
Truthfully.
Where's your driver's license? Where's your voting registration? Utilities. I mean, many of these homes, the utilities have been shut off, or they've been
yeah,
leased.
the
Or-
one where the hole in the roof in our block.
Are you
had
even
no
inclined to
water.
send that form back?
If you don't, then you're going to automatically lose the exemption.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
No, you have the obligation to.
Who is running this?
That's the Department of Treasury has the ultimate responsibility for making.
That sounds
determination.
very,
In the Michigan Tax Tribunal, you can
complex.
appeal to the Michigan Tax Tribunal if it's denied, and the Tax Tribunal will then make a decision as to whether or not your evidence is sufficient to establish residency, or whether the local assessor or the Department of
Can
Treasury
I
will
appeal
establish
first
it.
to my local assessor? Let's say they put the
Yeah.
zero homestead. Can I in February when you do your appeals? Can you appeal at that point?
No, this doesn't go to the
No,
Board of Review.
okay.
This does not go to the Board of Review. That's my recollection. I'm trying to recall exactly what your appeal process is, but no, I think it's direct to the Michigan Tax Tribunal, or it's to the Treasury Department. You go to the Department of Treasury, and then the Department of Treasury makes a determination, then you can
And how
appeal
long
to
do you
the
think
tax
this
tribunal.
process will take
What process?
for them to?
To catch everybody?
Yeah.
It's an ongoing process. People are continually committing fraud
Well, I mean,
each
like
year.
the one in our block. I mean, there's been no utilities there, no water, and it still
And a hole in the roof.
It took a hole in the roof to prove to the city that it was
I
an
understand. Well, you gotta understand, municipalities, government have other priorities. They have things that they have to do that, it's not like you can do everything at once. So, I mean, I don't fault the municipality for.
But it's not like the treasury's gonna come up and knock on your door.
Not right. The assessor's gonna have to alert Treasury to it.
Well, and
That's
who
what's gonna
alerts the
happen.
So-
assessor? I mean, it's gonna be, it's
Right.
like it's the neighborhood watching, basically.
Well, remember that assessors in every municipality have an obligation to value each property within the taxing jurisdiction every year as of December 31. They used to, years ago, they used to do it every 3 years, every 4 years, simply because the assessors couldn't do it. And then, I want to say 20, 25 years ago, I can't remember whether it was the legislature or the Michigan Supreme Court, but they came back and said the General Property Tax Act requires that each property be assessed as of December 31st of each year to determine its true cash value and its assessed value. So, that obligation exists, and so, but as an assessor, I mean, I have sympathy for assessors who have to do this each year. They don't necessarily visit each property, but if you're a neighbor, you alert the
Well, I
assessor
think
of
the
what's going
city
on.
of Jackson tries to at least once every 2 years. We have a new
What,
assessor.
hit every property or?
Visits
Well, no, they're-
every property.
Really?
I don't know whether they visit every property, how often
They
visit.
try. I mean, you don't have to let an assessor in your house, right?
Yeah, you don't have to, but understand that the instant that you deny an assessor the access to the property, the assessor is going to assume that certain things exist which may not exist. Again, and if the assessor really wants to push it far enough, there is a process.
I wouldn't let one in.
I understand that, okay, I get it, I get it.
I think a lot of people wouldn't, and then I also think that there's a lot of people that would. But the one house that we just bought, I actually said to our assessor, "Do you want to go through it? Because
But that's
you need to
different.
get an accurate,
That's different.
right."
If
I mean, I don't have a problem.
Somebody comes up to my door and knocks and says, I'm the assessor.
I get it, I'm just saying
Okay.
to you, the general property
But
tax
But they're
act,
not gonna, if you.
They're not gonna ask to come in? Or-
Well,
they might,
Yeah,
they might
they
ask
would
to see, I
come
mean, find out what improvements have been made, that sort of thing, so, but you
but
don't,
there are
you don't
certain
have.
improvements you can make on your property that aren't going to increase your taxes. And just because they put an assessed value of X, your taxable value isn't gonna change. It's not necessarily gonna change. They can only change the taxable value if there's major improvements or
Well, I
on
just
the
say,
sale.
I've never had an assessor.
But if you
come
put a
to the
new
door.
roof on your house, or you put a new kitchen in your house,
We've
or
put some new
you update your
improvements.
bathroom, those are maintenance things that are supposed to, I mean, I have to verify that on the kitchen part, but we all have to update our houses. And that
Maintenance,
doesn't necessarily.
okay, stop.
Stop.
Maintenance and repairs do not
Not
increase your
increase your
assessed value. There are
right.
also specific repairs and improvements that are exempt from adding to the taxes. So if you want the
Right.
list of exemptions, all you have to do is go to the state treasury website, and it'll tell you exactly what improvements are exempt. Certain green improvements, energy improvements are exempt. And so
He doesn't look.
not every improvement is going to add to the taxes.
That's right, that's what I was saying. So why did you say stop?
Because you were talking about a new roof, et cetera. New
Right.
roof may not add to the taxes.
That's what I said.
I misunderstood.
Hello? Okay, so let's talk about real estate properties specifically.
Hurry.
Virginia Court, cute, one-bedroom home, 800 square feet, 2654 Virginia Court, 139.9. That is a cream puff with the best of everything in it. 6306 Burning Tree, 214.9 with a new roof, new carpet, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, and almost 3,500 square feet throughout the entire house, about 2,000 plus on the first floor. Lori Drive, 6581 Lori Drive, 159.9, 4 bedroom, 1.5 bath, 2,100 square feet, and then we have 2 under 30,000, 601 Seymour and 1034 First Street. On Thursdays, with the galleries, we have Artitude Adjustment, we have water, wine, and beer. So come on down to the 3 galleries downtown. Call me if you have real estate needs. Laura Schlechte at 780-3800.